Foodservice Power Plant Network. Yo, friends, there's a party happening where I'm at. Welcome tonight to our conversation. Some of my favorite people are with me, and we're coming to you live from a different place tonight. Tonight is going to be a blast of a conversation. We've got Tim Irey of Bargreen Ellingson on. I'm using my boss's Noel's computer because I left my battery charger somewhere in the state of Montana, or my computer charger. So welcome. It's looking a little different tonight. You can see my backdrop is different. We're going to gather is what we're going to do with Mr. Tim Irey of Bargreen Ellingson. I'm going to bring him on in a minute. A couple of things for you. First, welcome. We've got a lot of new members to the community who wanted to see Tim this week. And we're super excited to have you a part of this. Also, if you are going to be at NAFM, remember, we are having a party. You're welcome to go to the announcements page in the Foodservice Power Plant Network. Go sign up to join the party, RSVP. That way we'll know how much food we're going to have. It will be an absolute blast. Hold on one second as I have all these requests of people to join tonight to watch Tim. So I'm going to let them in right now before anything happens so that I make sure people get in. Okay, awesome. We just let a bunch of people in. If you want to sponsor that event, we've had so many amazing sponsors, partners who wanted to be a part of the positivity movement we've got going. Just reach out to me. Would love to have you as a sponsor. We have one left of platinum. We've got gold, and thanks to the Mopsy board who just bought the bar. So if you want to come and have a cocktail or a glass of wine or whatever you want to have, Mopsy has taken care of that. Our platinum sponsors, SIFA, Oneida, Cowmill, and oh my gosh, this is going to be embarrassing because I'm forgetting one. That's not going to look great. But anyway, all our sponsors have been amazing. Now, a couple notes. These conversations are unbelievable because we get nuggets of wisdom from people that we've gotten to know over the years who are industry leaders, and they drop bombs of wisdom along the way. Tim's story is an awesome one, and he is one of the most authentic humans ever, that I've ever worked with or ever met. He's just willing to bare his soul. So I would grab a pen and a notepad, take some notes, because I'm sure he's going to have things in his story that will be relevant to your story. I just know it. It's just the way it always works. Inevitably, he will share something in his journey that you need. So remember to grab a pen, take some notes. It'll be super helpful for you. As well, if you want to make comments, if you have questions for Tim, go ahead and ask him. You can simply throw them in the group and a comment will come up just like this. If you go to StreamYard/Facebook, we can see, type in your name. We can see your name. Would love to know who you are. I'm also going to be looking at my phone, not because I'm texting my family, but simply so that I can see your name if you haven't put it in. So, and I can see we are live, which is incredible. Xena Dater's on. Xena's looking forward to his story and his knowledge. Xena, I love it. I'm glad to have you here. I hope vacation was awesome. So, without any further ado, Tim Irey, ladies and gentlemen, is in the house. This is our first time we're doing two of us at the same time in the same room.
Working together.
Yes, we are. We're gathering. We're gathering for you. It's awesome. Okay, Tim.
Okay.
Just so you know,
down here.
Camera is down there. First computer I've ever seen like that. But it's
weird,
outstanding.
A little weird, but okay.
It's unique. Okay, so friends, I've got a list of questions I'm going to ask Tim. Tim, you're going to go through some of your career journey with us. We're going to talk about your story. This also happens to be your kind of last week on the side of the industry you've been a part of. You're moving into coffee. We'll talk about that. So kind of equally special and fun.
Love it.
And know that I'm really grateful for you as a colleague, as a friend, and for taking an hour tonight to be with us.
Thanks for coming to my home.
I love it. I love being in your home. Okay, so we're going to get going. And remember, if you've got a question, throw it in there. So, Tim, let's start with your journey. How long have you been with Bargreen? 20 years?
It's 24 years, and I'm Thursday will be my 25th anniversary with the company.
Oh my gosh.
This Thursday. And then I'm quitting on Friday. I know. So I'm a quitter. So.
Well, the finish line was strong. It was really defined.
Yep. It was very clearly defined.
No ambiguity.
Get to 25 years and then be done.
I stinking love it. Okay. So tell us your journey. How did you get into food service, and how did you end up as the VP of sales and marketing with Bargram?
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. So I graduated from college with a degree in communication, largely because I was really terrible at math. Right. So
That's fair.
So the business school I don't think they wanted me because Standard math was not so good for me. Anyway, good news is now I can do gross profit in my head. So I guess that's a good thing I've learned along the way. So I was working after I got my degree in communications. I was working for Payless drugstores here in the Northwest, and I was in their management program, and I worked there for 5 years, and I didn't hate it every day, but let's just say that I didn't love it a lot enough to stay. And so my wife and I, what we did is I've been married to my wife for 30 years.
Wow.
And which has been delightful and awesome. And we went to the end of our life and worked backwards. And what we did is we said, what do we want to do before we retire? And the thought was, well, gosh, we love to travel and bed and breakfast and kind of that hospitality feel. That sounds great. And so, well, let's work towards that. And she's a registered nurse, and so she had a very stable, very specific career. And my career was a little more wide open. And so we decided, well, I would chase something in the world of hospitality. But I didn't really want to work in a restaurant, and I didn't really want to work in a hotel, but kind of on the fringe of that. And so I did some research, and I found Bargreen Ellingson, and I wrote Paul Ellingson a letter in June of 1996. And it said, I do not expect you to know of a job or have a job for me, but I'd like to come and learn more about what it is that you do. And it's funny, I found a copy of that letter in my files as I was cleaning out my office, and it made me giggle a little bit to still have a copy of that. But I wrote him a letter and said, I'm interested. And then they called and we did an interview, and I went to work at the Tacoma front counter.
Okay.
On August 5th of 1996.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was a very steep, relatively quick transition. So I did the front counter sales for about 4 or 5 months, and then took the Bellevue, Washington territory up near Seattle. Territory opened up, and I was commuting at that time from Olympia to Bellevue, which on a good day was about an hour and a half, and on a really bad day, it might have been well into the 3+ hour commute each way. Okay. I did that for about 4.5 years, doing route sales as a territory salesperson for the company. And then I went from there to Portland, and I was going to learn contract sales, the contract side of the business, the ground up construction, or what we call contract sales. And then ended up, I was there about, a day, and the sales manager quit and they said, Poof, you're the sales manager. And then 6 months later, which would have been September 10th, 2001. So the day before 9/11, I was promoted to general manager of the branch in Portland while we were at the NAFM show in Orlando. And they said, we're going to promote you, and you're going to take over when we get back, and rah. And it was great. And of course, 9/11 happened, and that was a very tumultuous time. Yep. And then in July of 2003, I returned to the home office and took the role of VP of sales. And then we added the marketing role down the road. So I've been in this role for about 18 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
In 18 years, this wasn't in here, 18 years in one role.
Good. You're throwing the tough questions at me.
How do you, in a role in 18 years, how do you keep it fresh? Is it the people? Is it new people are coming in, and it's new relationships and new energy, and you figure out how to match it and how to up it and elevate it? I mean, how do you keep it fresh having one role for 18 years?
No, that's a great question. I think for me, so when I started in the role in 2003, we had 7 physical branches. So 7 different physical properties. Okay. As an organization, it might have been 7 or 8 branches. And today the company has 23. Wow. So there's been lots of wild growth that's happened since that time. And I've been very fortunate to be a part of that wild growth. Mostly fortunate. There was times when I was obviously pulling my hair out, and it was like we didn't have enough people, and how are we going to get it all done and do all those things? But along the way, it very organically shifted and multiplied and changed, and the course was still generally the same, right? The vision was still generally to go that direction, but it just changed over time, right? And so that freshness always remained, right? So there was never any 2 days that were alike. Yes, you still did emails. Yes, you still had phone calls. Yes, you still did problem resolution and you still did those types of things. But the reality is that there was always something new, or there was a new person to add to the mix, or a person left the mix, or a person decided to, we've elevated them and they've moved, and so they need more training or more guidance or more coaching. So all along the way, it's just remained fresh because it just organically was.
Sure.
There was no vision to this, like, oh, we got to keep it fresh. It just happened. Yeah.
What a gift.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was a huge gift for me, for sure.
Of all the roles you've had here, I'm going to go in. Oh, let me turn the sound down. Josh Callahan's in the house. Rusty Gilmore's in the house. Chris Rowling, Jim Monet, Nils Hughes. Hey, everybody. Great to see you. Of all the roles you've held and all the different things that you have gotten to do as VP of Sales and Marketing for Bargreen, and being with Bargreen 25 years on Thursday, what role has been the most fun? Which one did you enjoy the most? Which brought you the most life?
Oh, gosh. It's definitely the one that I'm in now. Definitely the VP role. And I think it's because I had the ability to touch so many different aspects of the company, right? So it wasn't just the sales team, or it wasn't just the marketing piece, but I had an opportunity to work with the drivers, and I had an opportunity to work with the warehouse teams and the operations crew, and I had a chance to share ideas and thoughts about how the IT team could better help the sales department, right? And so to be ingrained in all of the different pieces, I think it's really been a blessing to be able to have that. I loved my time as a territory salesperson. I loved it with the customers, to interact with them and know that whatever it was that I was doing was playing a role in them being more successful, right? Them having an opportunity. So if I did my job well and they got what they needed, then the world went around another day.
I love it.
Yeah, world went around another day.
That's a good mission to have, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is do you have any daily disciplines you go to? Anything that you're like, you know what, these keep me going. These are the things that keep me grounded, or that give me energy, or whatever it is?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I drink coffee every morning.
Okay. You're a coffee guy?
Yeah, I'm a coffee guy. Without fail, I'm a coffee guy in the morning. I oftentimes will have a cocktail at night.
Yep.
So those are two. Are those disciplines?
They're totally disciplines.
I don't know if they are or not.
If they're consistent and you stick with them, I think they're disciplines.
I suppose they are. I've been on again, off again on the exercise routine. I used to exercise a lot, ride a road bike, religiously. Like many things, life gets in the way, whether it's, children that need to have more of your attention, or work requires more attention, or whatever the fill in the blank is, right? Those are the things for self that tend to put aside and focus on what's needed most at hand.
Yeah.
Right. Now, let's be clear. That's not always the best decision.
Sure.
But it is a reality, and it's a reality, I'm sure, for a lot of people.
Yep.
So I would say I've been pretty good about doing a gratitude journal. We had somebody speak to our company at an annual meeting a number of years ago, and he talked about gratitude journals. And I've tried to keep that. It's not a daily thing, but it is a relatively consistent thing. I've been going back and reading a lot of those.
Yeah.
Just three things a day. And I'll do it for pretty solid for a month, and then I'll take some time off, and then do it again. But I've done some journaling along the way, and the gratitude piece. And that's really probably one of the biggest things.
I think it's a great one. I love a gratitude journal. By the way, we talk about, everybody, bring your notepad and pen, because always the guest will offer things that you need. And check this out. Josh, you just got Josh Callahan on the bus for those two disciplines. And
Perfect.
Sandy Van Buren is in too. She's totally going with those two disciplines, coffee and wine routine.
They're simple. They're very simple.
You know what? It doesn't take much to inspire, does it? I mean,
no. Yeah. Uppers and downers, all on the same day. Yeah.
So good. Okay. By the way, friends, so good to see you. Remember, if you have a question for Tim on his last week at Bargreen Ellingson, I'm going to change the angle so we can see you a little bit more. There we go. Feel free to ask it here. Would love to hear from you. Remember, coffee's in the morning, the cocktail's at night, in case you get those reversed.
I mean, it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah. Not 100%, but generally to hold on to your job. This is so great. Someone's enjoying it. I'm in like a house cat on that. I haven't heard that one, but I think they're on board.
What that means.
House cats must be in. They must be inside.
Okay.
House cat inside, not outside.
Oh, got it.
Gets eaten by an owl or something. Someone's loving it. Okay. We've all got gifts. You have plenty, meaning internal strengths, gifts.
Okay.
We all have things that we're developing, things that we're growing into. Mm-hmm. What would you say, based on the feedback of the last 25 years at work and with Heather and your family, what would you say is your greatest strength? And what would you say is something that you've been working on or that you're continually working on to develop and grow?
Yeah. It's interesting. If we talk for a minute. So first of all, I do believe, I've always been a believer that we become something a little different at work than we are at home. Right. So we've always used a product called the DISC profile at work. And DISC, DISC, and DISC represents dominant, influence, steadiness, and conscientious. And anyway, and we can get into that later and put some links up and stuff. But DISC profiling is about identifying what are your strengths and where are your challenges. Mm-hmm. And it's both natural and adapted, right? And so naturally, I have a high I and a high D. So I being communication, D being driven and demanding and whatnot. At work, both of those go from upper mid to really, really high.
Yep.
And so when people are with me in a home environment, those are more reserved.
Yeah.
And if they know me from work, they're like, "Are you okay? Is everything all right? You seem a little demure, you're a little softer, because at work, those become elevated. I become something a little bit different."
Yep.
So I do think that if you were to ask Heather what my strengths are, she might tell you the dishes and the lawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe some cooking along the way. And at work, you might get a completely different answer. But I would tell you that Irey Ellingson said to me one day that I was the chief listener. And I kind of liked that. And I thought about it a lot. I think that's probably pretty accurate. I think I have been that for the organization, for the people. And David Ellingson mentioned that he described me at one time as the spiritual leader. So culture was always very, very important to me. So I would tell you that I'm probably a pretty good communicator. I can be direct and yet thoughtful at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of my biggest strengths. Weaknesses, there's a pile of them. But I think I would say that another thing that David has shared with me that he sees, and I appreciate it, is that I need to learn to manage my expectations better. He's like, you care so much about the annual sales meeting, for example. You just want everybody to be as engaged as you are, and that's just not the way it's going to be. And my attitude is, I don't care. It's my job to make sure that's, so that was always part of it. So I need to learn to manage my expectations a little bit better, I think. And I'll keep working on that. I'm trying.
I think it's a great thing to learn, but there's also the gift in there that I see is, you have an enthusiasm in wanting to make something as good as it can be for your team, for vendors, for customers. When we do the dine around, Bargreen's notorious. We go out to dinner. We all go out to dinner at a million different places, which is awesome. That you want that enthusiasm conveyed and, passed on from you to everyone else. And I don't know, I appreciate that enthusiasm.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Here's a question. Scott James. Scott. This is a term that's I've heard it, but it's way bigger than like you math. Like I was a business major for a week. So and then I went to history.
That was 6 days more than me. So.
Scott, how do you see blockchain technology playing a role in our industry?
I don't know. Blockchain. How many syllables is that? Blockchain. Two. So I'm supposed to be good at 2-syllable words. I don't think number one, I'm not educated or familiar enough with blockchain technology to likely even comment. I will say this. I do think that in our industry that that sometimes new people to not only to our organization, but to any organization of food service overcomplicate the whole process, right? And I think if we remember that in the end, it's about pots and pans and refrigerators and freezers and china and glassware. It's about delivering product, at least on the distribution side, it's about delivering product in the final mile so that those end users can make sure that people like me and you and everybody else, when we go out to eat, that our experience is such that we go, oh my God, that was so good. Let's do that again.
Yeah.
Because if they don't do let's do that again, we all on this thing tonight and in the future, we have a significant problem, right? Hence all the supply chain challenges that are going on in the world. Hence, the pandemic we've all lived through, and the 2008 challenge and the 9/11 challenge and all the other things that we've all lived through. So blockchain, it'll play a role at some point, but I don't know that it will significantly impact our overall business as much as it will be maybe potentially make it easier for some people to do larger deals than what they were doing before.
Okay.
I made all of that up. Was that any good? Scott, is that any good? I don't know.
Scott, I'm going to run with it. Yeah. It sounded really sophisticated and educated to me.
Yeah. And it was only 2 syllables too.
So. I guess if it takes out a lot of will it take out friction?
It'll probably create some new ones though too. Because if companies like ours are not set up for blockchain transactions, what does that look like?
Yep.
Again, I don't know anything about it, but I understand credit card fees and I understand, suppliers and how and ACH and how we're moving that money around and paying and whatnot. But in the end, there still has to be some sort of transaction happen. So is that going to further complicate? It might be easier for large companies and harder for smaller companies to do that. So I don't know, that may drive a wedge between big companies and small companies and further distance one from another too. So that might play a role too. So
interesting.
So it might be bigger than maybe what I was giving it credit
for. Scott, really great question. And Tim, look at this. You must have had a somewhat educated answer because Scott loved it. Thanks.
Well,
that was outstanding. We are winning tonight.
I know, right? Maybe I did get that degree in math. Finance, maybe.
Eric Rodenbaugh's in the house. ER, boom. Good to see you, brother. Shannon Wange, babe, keep driving safe. Boom. This is really fun. Okay. Leaving a place that you love to work and have worked for a long time is hard.
Yes.
I did it about a year ago.
Yep.
18 months ago.
Did, yeah.
And I had only been with Desert Peak for half the time that you've been with Bargreen.
Yep.
When did you know in your life that it was time for something new? And anytime someone leaves an organization where they're one of the faces of that organization to the industry, people wonder, how did that go? I wonder if that went okay. I wonder if there's tension, right? Just all over the country, people have different questions. So when did you know it was time for something new? And how did it go with David and Eric when it was time to sit down and say, guys, I'm wondering about my future?
Yeah. So it's a great question. So I did not go looking. And full disclosure, and I've shared this with Dave and Eric, I did go looking at one point. I went looking a long time ago. It must have been in, I'm gonna fail to remember the exact dates, but let's just call it like in 2006, 2007, somewhere in that arena. And it was because ultimately I went looking, and ultimately I elected to stay because I felt like I had unfinished business. I didn't feel like I had been able. David was new to the company. He's been there 15 years now. And Eric wasn't there yet. It didn't feel like I had a good enough relationship with David, or we hadn't completed the things that I knew were really important that we needed to do to continue to move the company forward.
Yep.
And so ultimately I elected to stay. And I'm very, very glad that I did. Fast forward, through the pandemic and the changes and the challenges that we all faced, and certainly Bargreen Ellingson was no stranger to that. We had plenty of those challenges ourselves. But I was approached right after the beginning of the new year, this year, And my answer was, no, I'm not interested. It's gracious and delightful, and it's cute even.
Yeah.
but no, I'm not interested. And then it's like, okay, let's just at least talk, because I always was willing to talk.
Yep.
Right. And that makes me, I hope, a better manager and coach and all those other things, to at least be knowledgeable about what's going on in the world. Right. What are the offers and what does it look like? And maybe we're not doing something right. We should be offering something different. Right. And so I said, after the annual meeting, which was the end of January, after that, so Feb 1, let's have a conversation. And when that conversation came, it was like, we want you to come here and be the COO. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Like, those are super cool letters and that's exciting, but I don't know what a COO does.
Right. Blockchain is more familiar than COO.
Blockchain is way more familiar. Right. I'm like, my God. So what does that even look like?
Yeah.
And so I sat down with them and they said, well, tell us what you do at Bargreen Ellingson. And I told them, and they're like, yeah, just do all those things. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we talked and we figured out the package and the future and the things. And I was like, oh gosh, it's in an industry, coffee, that have always been passionate about. And they're good guys, and it's a family run business, and they want to grow. And like, it started to tick all the boxes. The number one box it ticked for me was that it allowed me, at 25 years of service with the company, to control my own exit.
Yep.
I never had, and I'd like to work for another 7 years, maybe 8 years tops. So my wife and I put a plan in place and said, look, we want to work until I'm 61. I'll be 54 this year. We'd like to do that. So what is going to get us to the end game? I could have stayed with Bargreen Ellingson, and I could have ridden that through, and I could have done, I'd like to hope, a good job, and provided leadership and coaching and all training and all those things. But was I going to be as passionate about it? Not as likely as if I did something new that was going to stress me and strain me and pull me and force me to grow a little bit. And I think, I used an analogy the other day with somebody and said, you can either choose to keep pedaling or you can coast when you ride a bike. And, when you're coasting, by definition, you are going slower. You are slowly going to, like, that energy is slowing down. End.
Yep.
Right. And so it ticked all the boxes. I was able to say, you know what, this gives me the chance to exit what I think is largely near the top of my productive behavior and abilities. And I didn't ever have to worry about 5 years from now having them say, look, we're going to start thinking about a transition. What does that look like? Because then it's beyond my control. I have a wonderful relationship with the Ellingson family, wonderful, trusting relationship. But David and I had been very open and honest with each other, and we knew that time was coming. And so this ticked that box. And so it was, gosh, with both my kids being gone, one to grad school and one to college, maybe this will allow me to travel a little bit less and bring my knowledge to impart them on somebody else, on somebody else's organization. And so that's ultimately where we ended up.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's all great. I mean, your relationship with those guys remains great, and with Bargreen, and it's something that everyone's sort of blessing, right?
Yeah.
And this is great for Tim, and it's great for us then.
That's right.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I feel like a lot of people hang on longer than maybe they don't take the time to be introspective to find out, is it doing it for me right now? Am I really alive? Do I have what it takes to give that the organization needs?
Yep.
And I mean, everything runs its course. Has a lifespan in some capacity, right?
It does. And as you look at, if you look at the group of people coming up through food service, right? There's been discussions in this industry for years about the food service, and because this isn't HR or anything, I can say whatever I want, right?
Sure.
This industry is an aging industry that is not necessarily recruiting young, raw talent. And for what reason, nobody really knows why we're not. Maybe it's not glamorous enough. Maybe, we're storing brown boxes in the dark, or we're delivering boxes, or we're talking about whips and tongs and ladles and spatulas and whatever else. And like, maybe that's not glamorous enough. Maybe there's not enough big words used, right? I joked about the 2-syllable words.
Yep.
I never wanted to stand in the way of progress. At 25 years in the industry, I am considered old school, right? It's blocking and tackling. It's we knock on doors and we ask customers what they need, and we attempt to sell them on things that we think they need. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. But in the end, we don't use words like, what's your enterprise solution for that is garbage in my mind. That also makes me old. At least in some way, shape, or form. Now, I can be as crazy and fun and do all those things and still connect with the 20-something salespeople. But at some point, someday, I will struggle more to do that. It will be a longer stretch for me to do that.
Sure.
This allows me to not stand in the way of that. It's time for somebody else to take the reins, the sales team at this company, and move it along.
And where you're going, our buddy Ryan, Irey, and his brother,
Yep.
and I mean, your energy and passion, this isn't, let me just tell you, watching you lead a team or lead your conference, and the energy and the authenticity and the vibrancy is so contagious. And I have no idea about the culture over there, other than I like the guys who are leaders there right now.
Yeah.
But you're going to bring something really new that they're going to need. And I think it's outstanding.
Thank you.
Taz is in the house. You almost missed it, but you didn't. Love it. By the way, I just remembered our other platinum sponsor, the amazing people at Woodstone and Henny Penny. Rob Connolly, love you, buddy. Okay, I'm going to turn this a little bit more this way. Who's this? Muggs. This is Rusty Gilmore. Does Muggs mean something to you?
It's a private joke. I can't talk about.
Okay, got it. You guys can
love
text
you,
each
Rusty.
other. You
Love
guys
you,
can
Rusty.
text each other later. This is our buddy John Schroeder, who's not too far right now, and he wants to know, Tim, what really is in a paper airplane anyway?
A paper plane, yeah. So John's
Or a
like
paper
in
plane.
my backyard, I think, right now with about 9 other people, which is great, by the way. My home is always open to whoever wants to come.
I love it.
Paper plane, bourbon. So 2 ounces of bourbon.
Oh.
2 ounces of bourbon. About 1.5. You do equal parts if you want. Amaro Nonino, right? I can barely say it. A splash of Aperol, maybe like an ounce.
Okay. It sounds
Maybe
like
not
something
quite
the
that much.
doctor would give me, but I trust
Aperol. Yeah, it's for a foot fungus. And then a little bit of bitters and a half a lemon, and then in a beaker with ice, and then you pour it, and it's a paper plane.
Do you have all those ingredients?
I do.
When we're done here,
Yes.
do I want the Manhattan, the old fashioned, or do I want the paper
I
plane?
probably want all of those in some sort of spaced out opportunity.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
We're gonna win tonight. Great insights, Tim. Who is this? This is Glenn Lawless. Glenn, what's up, brother, from Metro? You the man. Oh, Zena's coming over. Zena, just text me. I'll give you the address. We'll have you on. Done. You're in. Okay. You've been led by a lot of great leaders. There's a lot of great leadership at Bargreen Ellingson, whether at the GM brand level, whether in Tacoma and etc. What is what's the greatest trait of a leader in your opinion?
So I think that the greatest trait of any leader is whatever trait is their strongest component. Because the reality is if I think my greatest strength is to be a great listener or a good communicator, and to treat each, and I would add to that I try not to shotgun approach things. I try to approach them with, I treat you slightly differently than I would treat, one of your peers, and so on and so forth. So each person should be treated slightly differently based on their needs and our relationship.
Yep, sure.
Right. So I think leadership along the way has taught me that, Rick and Paul taught me to care about the food service industry. And David has been super impassioned about, wanting me to hey, would you think that's a good idea? Yeah, love it. Just do it. So he was very much about delegation. If you believe it, you're smarter than I am on that. You're closer to it. You do it.
Love it.
And that's been one of the mentalities that we've tried to have. Eric has also showed, this vision about being super organized and super controlled, like lots of spreadsheets. I was never a spreadsheet kind of guy. We managed hands-on.
Yep.
And so I learned from Eric this vision of spreadsheets and how to better understand metrics and things like that. But I believe that the best leaders are ones that pull on their strengths and use them to their advantage, And when I say their advantage, I think that could be misconstrued as being disingenuous.
No, it's not manipulative.
Yeah, right. It's
No.
not that, but it's using those to garner the most out of those people that you're coaching.
Yep.
So if indeed for me it's listening, then I need to be the best listener.
Yeah.
I can absolutely be. And if for somebody else they're the best, motivator or the delegator or the whatever, they should do that. Because I think that there's lots of different ways to do it. There's not just one.
Well, I think you're right on. I mean, my son Liam, he requires to get the best out of him a different kind of engagement, interaction, and conversation than Haley does.
Yep.
They're two different people. They need two different things to help them perform at their highest level.
That's right.
Yeah, well 100%. Said.
Yeah, thank you.
It depends on what the person needs, and your strength.
Yeah. And how they work together.
Yeah. Right.
So people, like a long time ago, my wife Heather had a boss who said to her, "Hey, look, they do what works for them." And I've never forgotten that. So if somebody raises their arms and freaks out, like, oh my God, they lose their mind about something.
Yep.
Why do they continually do that? Because they garner the attention of others.
Yep.
And so they continue to behave that way. World's best salesperson is a kid, right? Losing their mind in the cereal aisle because they want fill in the blank, whatever the cereal is. And if you're like, ladies and gentlemen, I remember doing this to my daughter, ladies and gentlemen, that's my kid. Amazing. Look at her. And she stopped and never did it again. Because it did not work for her.
Yeah.
So why would I do that again if it doesn't work for me?
Sure.
Anyway.
Well done. I love it.
Down a side road there.
I love it. Okay. You and I have been quite open with one another about our mental health journey.
Yes.
And our mental health journey is something that you and I both actively work on.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your journey in mental health and some of the steps that you've taken to kind of make it so that your headspace is a place that gives life instead of takes it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's very much like a tide. It ebbs and flows.
Yep.
Right. There are days where it's much higher and days where it's lower. Thankfully, not twice a day like the tide.
Yep.
But certainly, so being a cyclist, road cyclist, and doing long endurance rides, I had my fair share of crashes.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of the beast when you're in a peloton of other people and you mix tires and pedals and things like that, and down you go, or you push a limit and you fail at the limit, and the road wins and you don't. So shattered helmets, concussions, lots of road rash, things like that. I somewhere along the way decided that my behavior, I had some inklings that my behavior wasn't right. A long talk with my wife one day and said, I have to travel and I have to travel tomorrow. She's like, okay. And I was a mess about it. I was all freaked out about it. Now, this is my life. It's what I do.
Right.
And she's like, it's okay. But also, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, I don't actually know. I don't know why I didn't tell you. And so I had an appointment with my doctor and we met, and then just really had some anxiety issues, and some depression issues. And the depression, not as much, but the anxiety for sure. And it's an imbalance and I can't control it. But I would tell you that the concussions elevated it. It made it worse. And I arrived at some points where those concussions put me in a place where I had some anger issues for sure. And so I would have to really temper what that was. And if I could feel myself starting to kind of boil over, I needed to check myself and take a break. I no longer listen to the news in the car almost ever.
Okay.
And I was a news junkie, right? I was always on the news and look at the news. I quit social media about a year ago, largely. I'm back on a little bit, but have quit a lot of it. I listen to music. I read a lot to try and keep myself a little more even, and not like big, heavy, like I got to learn a bunch of stuff about myself. A lot of it is just escapism. Just an opportunity to punch out and read something fun or crazy or whatever. But I have to be very thoughtful about it. And it's after what we've all been through, there's so much more of it going on right now. I think it's super important. So this is absolutely a shout out to, if you have staff, it's okay to ask the question and say, are you really okay right now?
Yeah.
You know, none of us are inviting for more in our lives, but I think there's a lot of that going on in the world right now, a lot of it. And I don't think it's going to go anyway anytime soon.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, and it's okay to be open and honest with people about it too.
Man, thanks for sharing, Tim.
Of course.
I would encourage everyone. Oh, Brina is on. Brina, I haven't seen you forever. It's great to see you too, my friend. You know, I think those are really, a lot of people don't have the discipline. Number one, maybe to recognize or go find help. For some people, was that a moment that you felt like it was really courageous for you to go find help? Like, was it something that was shamed going and finding help for your head? Or was it like, oh, wait, I'm miserable right now. Or I'm angry. I don't know why. Of course I'm going to go get help.
No, I don't think so. I mean, and I'm very, very fortunate. I have a family and an extended family that is very supportive. My mom and dad, you know, are still doing great, 84 and 80, and just delightful, like, you know, wonderfully engaged people. And certainly, you know, my wife and my kids. And so there's always been a very open conversation amongst us about how are we really doing, right? But it never felt like I've never been somebody who's been afraid to share my emotions. Ever, right? And anybody who's been to an annual meeting, I mean, I will drop tears on stage, and I just don't care. If you have a problem with that shit's on you and not on anybody else, right? And so I'm kind of an open book, and I am who I am. And if that's a problem for you, it's okay, that's fine. But so it didn't feel courageous as much as it felt really necessary. There was an employee who no longer worked for us who said to me when we were talking about it, she said, "It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Actually, this is not your fault. It's not your," like, she must have said it to me 75 times, like in a row. I was just like, okay, I get it. But I didn't really get it until I spent some time with the doctor and understood it. And so, but I still remember that day very vividly, that it's not your fault. It just is. So, and I think when you wrap your head around that, there's a certain moment of peace, I think, that comes from that.
There's a phrase that I don't know where I learned it, but I say all the time to our community: if you're in if you're in a dark spot right now and you don't know why, it's easy to look around you and look at people that you think are fine, who may or may not be, and say, what's wrong with me? The first thing is, of course I'm here right now. There's a great reason why I'm experiencing this. You might not know it. Tim didn't know a lot of the backstory behind what was going on. But you know, there's a great reason. There's plenty of reason why I'm struggling right now.
Lots to learn.
Lots to learn. Who is this? Thank you for sharing that, Tim. It's not popping up, but I'm sure it's someone. And Jen Bolton's on. Boom. Thank you for sharing this, Tim. Love it. Okay, you exude confidence from the outside, watching you at an event, your conference, or whatever. Have you generally been a confident person growing up, or is that something that you've developed as you've honed your skills of sales and leadership? Does it come and go for you at different times?
No, I think it's kind of always been there. I grew up in a relatively blue collar family that was very driven by, you know, values and manners and you know, having chores and being a part of the solution and those kinds of things. And so a little bit of very traditional value systems. And I've always been willing to talk to anybody, just about anybody, about anything. And I have my moments where I'm closed off and want to just, you know, wallow in my own whatever, my own space. But largely, it was always been an opportunity to help, right? A bit of servant leadership or servant behaviors. It's true hospitality, right? We're all in the hospitality business. And why are we here? Well, because we have a vision to help other people in some way, shape, or form. Whether that is we're going to build products, we're going to provide products, we're going to deliver products, we're going to use them or show them, or whatever the case may be. We're all in this hospitality industry, which is just a delightful industry anyway, and filled full of super unique individuals, especially on the end user side. And I was just always fascinated by what made those people tick. I used to say to customers when I was in the field, file my card under the, oh my God, part in the, I don't know if that's the O or the G part in the Rolodex, the old Rolodex world, right? File it there. And if it really hits the fan and it's really ugly, call me. And if I can help, I will. Like, if you call me and ask me for some food product, like, oh my gosh, I really need prime rib for this week. Like, it's going to be really expensive for me.
Sure.
We'll figure it out, but you're only out a phone call. And if I can help or know somebody that can help, then we can lead you and guide you and put you in the right spot. So the confidence piece, I think, is just about, it's about this willingness to learn.
Yep.
And to grow and to change and to figure out what works and what doesn't, and then go, well, that didn't work. Better not do that again.
Yep.
Or do it again, but do it with a different manner or a different communication style or fill in the blank. So I think confidence, I think age helps with that, obviously. But for as long as I can remember, I don't ever remember being shy really about anything, which probably has got me into trouble a time or two over the years. But
done way more good than harm.
Yeah.
I read this book. One of my favorite books is called High Performance Habits, a guy named Brendan Burchard. In it, they correlated confidence, and I don't remember it exactly, but essentially there was a high correlation between people with pretty significant confidence and people who felt confident being dropped into a room of billionaires knowing how to fit in. And it was all around people who were willing and wanted to ask questions.
Right.
There were people who could go around to anyone and be like, oh my gosh, tell me your story. I'd love to learn about you. Tell me what you've done and how you're doing. How's your marriage and how do you run a successful business? And there was a high correlation between that and that. So you are the listener in chief, I think, Eric said.
Yep.
And you like asking questions. I think it's pretty fascinating that was your response there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating to do that because in the end, what do people like to talk about? They like to talk about themselves.
Yep.
Right. They want to share about what works for them. When I spent probably 30 to 40% of my time in and around the interview process, almost just like all the time, religiously, with the exception of maybe the past 18 months. But prior to that, it was constantly interviewing, constantly seeking to add more people to the organization that had the right moxie, the right fit, the right cultural fit to the organization. So it was always this vision of, how do I build a connection with the person sitting on the other side of the table, right? Are they looking around my office and seeing, because I had pictures of cycling and pictures of camping and pictures of my kids and pictures of golfing and some other things that I enjoy doing. And if they were really good, they'd pick something out. They're like, tell me about, what's with the cycling picture? And then done. That was a huge trigger for me because it told me that they understood the process of trying to build a bridge with the person that they're interviewing with. And so I would always try and do that. I'd try and pick them. What do you like to do? So I'd always start with the very first interview question was like, give me the 2-minute commercial about yourself. Well, if they couldn't do it in 2 minutes, A, they can't follow instructions. And B, I'm worried a little bit about what they're trying to force feed me.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
2 minutes or less, give me your commercial. And then it's like, cool, what do you do for fun? And then I'd pick at that. Oh, well, what kind of dogs do you have? Well, I have labs. Oh, what kind of, chocolates, blacks, yellows. I'm like, I have chocolate labs. Oh, great. And then we talk about dogs. We build this connection. And what happens is all of the pretense drops down.
Yep.
And then you get real conversation about why are they really there? They're there for a job, duh, of course. But it gets rid of all of the garbage that comes with those pre-built, like, what's your greatest strength?
Yeah.
What's your greatest weakness? Oh, my greatest strength is my weakness. And gross, right? So building those connections, I think, is so, so paramount.
What great insight interviewing right now. And there's a lot of people in our community that are looking for work. I think I shared this the other day. A lot of people looking for regional positions, et cetera. So just a word to the wise. You might take a few notes on there as you're sitting interviewing with people or talking. You might look up ahead of time when they're on Facebook or LinkedIn, or if you're in someone's office, to find some of those things that you can tell they like and ask some questions. It'll build your confidence because it ends up being more about you finding out about them, which everyone loves.
Yep.
Well done. What time is it? It's 7:50. We have about
6:50.
Oh, right.
5:50.
5:50. 7:50.
One of the 50s.
Knowles Computers Times
50s.
in
Yeah,
Houston.
one of the 50s.
In your 25 almost years with Bargreen.
Yep.
Of what are you most proud?
Wow. My relationship with Brian O'Rourke. That's just funny because he's sitting over there Oh my God, it's so good. You knew that was going to happen too, didn't you?
They're so well played.
I think that what I'm most proud of is originally the Ellingson said, put your hat on, go to work, build a sales team, and keep your eye on the culture.
Yep.
And so I think the fact that I've been able to touch really the bringing along the coaching of so many different people in this organization, that I've been able to have a little tiny impact on what their productive life has looked like here.
Yep.
And I think if I had to pick one thing, it would be having had that opportunity to engage so many different people and see their success and work with them on their challenges and even to find some that it wasn't working out very well, and to say, that's okay. Let's help you find something that is. And if this isn't your passion, that's okay.
Yep.
Let's help you go do something somewhere else. And so I'm very grateful to have worked for a group and an organization that believed in letting me do what I thought was best and didn't really question. They go, really? And I go, I don't know. Like, that didn't work, did it? Like, that didn't work. So that's okay.
Yep.
Maybe let's not do that again.
Sure. Yeah.
Be like, yeah, let's not do that again. So, but yeah, I think, being a part of all those different lives for sure. Absolutely. The greatest part.
I think a lot of people in the industry would say that about you, for what it's worth. Rarely do we know the degree to which we've impacted people, in my experience.
Yep.
And in talking with people since you made your announcement about 6 months ago, and just random conversations, you've affected a lot of people in some really cool ways. Okay, 2 more questions. Oh my gosh, that might be most proud. That's kind of a legacy question. How do you, Tim Irey, define success? For anyone watching, there's lots of young people. That there are many young people who've joined this group. They're part of this community, and they're trying to figure out, how do I know if I'm a success or not? You're about to walk away after 25 years in the industry.
Yeah.
And define success for anyone who's asking themselves how they should.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really challenging question. And I think here's the reason why I think it's challenging. I still question it every day, right? That's a daily type of question that gets answered in my head on the way home, or maybe it gets answered sitting at the dining room table, having a conversation with family. How was your day? What was it like? Well, we did this, we did this, we did that. But did I really have an impact today? And I think daily, if you do it daily, and I do it daily, like that can drive you crazy sometimes, because as a manager or as a leader or as a coach, you don't always have the ability to do the things that you want to do today. You're doing the things that are on fire. I got to deal with this. I need your help. What is it? What does it look like? But I think being honest to yourself about the process is maybe the piece that's really what's defined success for me. Look, if I'm honest with myself, did I go to work and give it my all? And look, some days it's a 9 or a 10, and other days, like, dude, today was garbage.
Yeah.
Why was it garbage? Now, if I'm successful, what I've done is then I can figure out what it was that made it that way, and then avoid that tomorrow, or figure out a different way to deal with it. Because really what I'm saying is I didn't deal with that pile of ick the right way. If I dealt with it the right way, then something happens, right? If I deal with it the right way, then what happens is I replicate. Right. Remember that that's not the right way to do it. Do it differently. And so if I'm learning along the way, that really is probably the best definition of success, because it means I'm making better decisions. If I make better decisions, then the impact should be greater for other people. So I don't know.
I love it. Constant, never-ending improvement. I think that's a great way to look at life.
Makes the world go round.
Yeah. Okay, last question.
Okay.
you've been in this game for a while. You've seen a lot. You know a lot of people. You've done a lot of cool deals. You've helped be a part of Bargreen Ellingson's incredible growth over the last 25 years since you've been here.
Yep.
As you step away and go into something new, what advice do you give to the rest of us who are marching on in food service? We're growing. We're building it. What's your advice or your offering?
Wow. Drink a lot of coffee. Buy coffee. More coffee for everybody. Have fun. Keep having fun. This has been a wonderful industry that's had a lot of fun. I've had so much fun in this industry. Let's be clear. Some days too much fun. But it was always under the right pretense. It was never malicious. It was never well, sometimes it was out of stupidity, but it was always with the right people. Right? It was with the people that we call friends. I mean, if you can go to work every day and build friendships and have a good time doing it, what's better than that?
Yeah.
Right. So I think keep having fun is the right answer. And we just all have to remember, even through all of the garbage that we're being dealt with right now, with supply chains and restrictions and whatever the case may be, is that, you know, we're the light for the end users and the people. And I think if we can keep shining that on everybody else, then we're doing our job. And look, it's not perfect every day. Let's be clear. There are plenty of days that you want to scream and yell, and people have certainly heard me do that in my office a time or two. But in the end, if you can walk away and feel like you've done the right thing, you've engaged the right people, and you made somebody else smile, then you do the right thing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Have fun. I would say of all the things for me, it's one of the things I need to cultivate most.
Yeah. And it's hard right now. It's really hard when the chips are down and you're trying to figure out, how do I get this product to that customer when that product doesn't exist?
Yeah.
You know, hey, fire up the kiln in the garage and we're going to make some china tonight, honey. That's not a thing. Yeah. That doesn't happen.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a thing.
For whatever reason, it's like, I mean, I have tons of energy for my work. I love my job. I love my reps. I love customers. I love doing this, but I'm so tightly wound as a person. I went to a doctor who did this blood test and was like, you live in a constant state of fight or flight. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound like an enjoyable way to live, but that's my reality. So finding ways to intentionally have fun is something that I have to work on, which is weird, but it's reality.
Yep.
And I have a feeling, I mean, there are a few things more fun than being at your house with some of these knuckleheads and doing what we're doing. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Glenn Lawless asked a great question. Any successful failures? Glenn, I want you to connect with Tim Irey because we're running out of time, but that's a great question. Have there been any successful failures? I would guess you would say as long as you learn from them, then every failure is a success if you learn from it.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I love it.
Not every most.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. I like to end these by offering our guest, tonight it's Tim Irey, a peek into what you said. You've been affected by a lot of people. There have been a lot of relationships. That's been one of your proudest moments. Sure. Well, I want you to get to hear what a lot of your friends and colleagues would say about you.
This is the hard part of the conversation, right?
Well, this is the part where you might cry and I might cry, even though it's not about me. I always cry. So here's how we're going to start. Actually, let's do this. You want to start? Sure. We're going to start. So here's something fun. I actually reached out to Brian O'Rourke, of course, was our guest last week. He's the CEO and president of Oneida Hospitality Group. And Brian and I were texting this week because I was going to be at Tim's place. And Brian was like, well, I'm going to be in Seattle. Maybe I'll be at Tim's place. I show up. Brian's friggin' here. He's one of your great buddies.
He is.
And we've never done this in person, but Brian's going to take the seat for a second. And he's going to just share with you.
I don't have to sit on his lap.
How much you Santa. And then I'm going to read you a few others. So, no, you stay here.
Oh, I have to stay here.
Yeah, I'm getting up. You're sitting there. I'm moving away. Brian's going to sit down. And then
for the time we're up in Seattle. So that we're up in Seattle, we'll just do this.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, please do.
So great.
Oh my gosh. Well, Tim, it's actually bittersweet for a lot of us. Yeah. You know, it was important that we came out here, not to say goodbye, but to say good luck to you. You know, if you look at what you meant to so many of us in our industry and our careers and business and how fair you have been with all of us. You know, you've been tough, you've been fair, but you've been loyal and you've been fun. And to add all those adjectives into a relationship, very, very hard. And I just wanted to say on behalf of the equipment guys, the supply guys, the tabletop guys, I think I can be definitely a testament of their feelings. And that is, you're an amazing, amazing person to work with. And I wanted to thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
And we want to wish you and Heather and the kids all the best, but we're not going far.
Good.
We're not going far.
Good. Don't go far.
All right.
Love it.
Love you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Brian, you're awesome, man.
Thank you.
Love it, buddy. Woo! Woo! Holy smokes.
Really? That's how we're starting?
That's just getting warmed up. Brian, you're amazing. Irey Ellingson.
Yeah.
A lot has been said about how you've left this company and this industry better than you found it. But only in small rooms with large pours have we really talked about your lasting impact on the Ellingson family. David and I are better leaders. We're better sons. We're better fathers because of the example that you have set and the path that you have paved. One more cheers to the listener in chief.
Wow.
I love when you teed up, when you dropped listener in chief earlier.
Thank you, Eric.
Well said. Who's this? By the way, Josh Callahan. This is so awesome. Best wishes, my friend. That's Joe Carcione.
Oh,
Joe.
Love you, Joe. Thanks, brother.
Well said. That's Rusty. Hey, Rusty. Tom Vanettis.
Yeah. Big Tom.
I trust that it must be extremely satisfying to be a customer of Tim's or to have worked for him. Because during the past 8 years that I have worked with him, whenever I have asked for his assistance, Tim's answer has consistently been, whatever you need, brother, I'm here for you. And he has been. Tim, as much as anybody I know in this industry, adheres to a policy that I also strongly believe in. Negotiate on behalf of your company, but let's work toward mutual success for all parties involved. And doggone it, let's have some fun doing it.
Yep. Amen.
The coffee industry is about to get a jolt, pun intended, of energy and enthusiasm.
Some of those Tomisms. Tom is beautiful.
With the addition of Tim Irey, our side of the food service industry will greatly miss him, but I'm positive everybody that knows Tim only wants nothing but tremendous success for him as he pursues his next passion. And the fact that I was able to say all of these things without an ounce of sarcasm says a lot about what I think of Tim.
I love it. Cheers, Tom.
So good.
I love it.
Jeez Louise. Elise Wilson. Tim, when we met 5.5 years ago, I never knew we'd develop such a strong friendship and working synergy. I have a lifetime of cherished memories in our time together. Thank you for giving me your best self and helping me realize mine. Mm-hmm. We always were better together. You lift people up, you inspire them to grow, and when it's right, you watch them fly. You'll do many great things in your next chapter. I look forward to watching you fly and bringing others along with you. I love you, friend. You're a legend and you're irreplaceable. Now is the time for both of us to fly.
Love it.
Best of luck. Thanks. I'm crying now. She said. All right.
Thanks.
Kent Wilson.
Yeah.
Working with Tim Irey at Bargreen Ellingson for the past 20 years has truly been a fantastic experience. Tim and I's goals always aligned. Grow sales, grow the salespeople at Bargreen Ellingson, be creative and innovative, be honest, have fun. Tim and I always have had a true, open, honest line of communication, regardless of the situation. No BS. This created the trust in our relationship that resulted in unbelievable growth achieved between Bargreen Ellingson and Steelite International. My favorite part of this industry is the fantastic personal relationships that are built over time, travel, dinners, and cocktails. Tim and I definitely had plenty of those moments. Whether it was waiting hours for cabs at the first dine around in Spokane at the annual meeting.
Yes, we did.
Drinking pints at a pub in Stoke-on-Trent.
Yep.
Eating a fabulous dinner in London. Enjoying cocktails in Hawaii at Duke's while taking in the sunset or having a quiet dinner with Tim, Heather, Lauren, and Grant. I always genuinely enjoyed the time I was able to spend with my friend Tim Irey.
Amen.
Tim, while I am truly saddened to see you go, there's no doubt in my mind you will be as successful in your next venture as you were in this one. I love you, brother.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Ken.
Last one for tonight, our buddy Adam Deutschman.
Adam D.
Tim, I've known you for 5 years, 6 weeks, and 3 days.
Leave it to Adam to be
Right? When I got that, I was like, oh my gosh, how he knows that. We met at a coffee shop, though in retrospect, we should have met at a bar.
Yeah, probably true.
Either one, Adam, you would have nailed his passion.
Coffee in the morning,
yeah.
liquor at night.
Yeah.
Guys, keep 'em...
Keep them in the right order. At that coffee shop, we chatted about life, opportunity, culture, friendships, and challenges. We left as cautious friends, a term I just created, and we wished each other the best, knowing our paths would cross again 6 weeks later. What followed was pure and total chaos. And that really cool cup of coffee we began our relationship with turned into a distant memory. We found ourselves in the trenches together, and we found ourselves challenging each other. We found a few victories, and we found a ton of defeats. We found ourselves having hard conversations with each other, and then one day I found a friend. You're my friend. You've been my guidepost for what culture actually means. And you've taught me the difference between leadership and management. Thanks for teaching me. And thanks for being the type of person that makes learning an active and engaging process. I'll leave you with this. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that you had the patience to lead me, that you had the vision to see that leading me was a worthy use of your energy. And I'm grateful that you understood better than most that the only way to build relationships is slowly and honestly. You've made my time at Bargreen Ellingson so much fun. And this Friday at 5:01 p.m., I'll be raising a glass to my friend Tim and thanking him for the 5 years he gave me that made me a better coworker, friend, and father.
Wow. Thank you, Adam.
You know what, man?
Dude, I held it all together.
Better than me.
I must be dehydrated.
I know you've got more parties coming and celebrations and thanks. Yeah. There's a lot of people who owe a significant part of their career journey and this idea of having fun and this idea of growing and failing forward, we'll call it that you learn and you grow to you. And you leave a grateful industry really thankful and better because you were a part of it. Josh, Noel, the whole Cal team, the way you've worked with them and built friendships with us, know that we are grateful that me personally, some of the conversations we've got to have, there's always this part of me that I hidden, just so you know, that felt cheesy. It felt sappy. It's the crier in me. Mm-hmm. Or the authentic piece of me that's willing to share the things that suck and the things and you were a person that let it actually seem cool. Not that I'm cool by any stretch of the imagination, but somehow you do all that.
Don't kid yourself.
You do all that in a way that people look up to and say, holy gosh, if Tim Irey can share his guts on this stage in front of 500 people and share what's going on, maybe I can too. Yeah. And you played that role in my life.
Thank you, brother.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, look at this. Holy smokes. Someone said, that's strong, Eric. An absolutely amazing leader. There's a lot of clapping. There's a lot of arms. Danny Octane. Who's that?
It's got to be Jason.
Jason Worth. Danny Octane. So good. By the way, Jason, I don't know what you're doing, but Zena, thanks for sharing. Congratulations on your new journey. Best wishes, my friend. Wishing you the very best. I don't know who that is. Listen, everybody, I hope you brought your pen and your notepad tonight. an unbelievable conversation with one of our industry's most authentic and fun people. So whatever parts of Tim's journey inspired you, take them, develop them, grow them, lean into them. Think about what it means for your journey. He didn't tell me you could do this, but you can always reach out to him on Messenger, on LinkedIn or something like that. Pick his brain, ask him questions, whatever you want to know, he'll tell you. You're always able to reach out to me. And, we both talked about our dark times. Listen, we all have crap. We all have times that we don't know up from down, where we don't know when to start with coffee or a cocktail. And if you've got that as a part of your journey, what did Tim say? It's not your fault. What was it saying?
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault. Of course you are. Of course you're going through it. Your job is to keep moving, keep going, keep persevering, and you'll get through this. And any way that we or this community can help you get through that, we got your back. Who's this? Tim, you have given gifts that can never be repaid. Jason Worth in the house. Heck yeah, Jay
Love
Worth. Ruby Hirschberger, just have a paper plane, for crying out loud. That's so good.
From the other room, I'm sure.
I love it. We're getting ready for it. Foodservice Power Plant Network. Keep rocking. Keep going. Hopefully we'll see you at NAFM. Things are going to be epic. Hopefully, if you haven't signed up for our party, go to the announcements page. Go RSVP. Brian O'Rourke tonight told me that we're bringing a lot of people, so we're upping the food. It's going to be great. And we can't wait to see you there. Everyone, have a great night. Lots of love. Tim, thanks, buddy.
Thank you. Cheers to you, brother.
You got it. Everybody, we love you. See you soon. Bye.